Have you ever noticed how some people feel like life already started without them? Like everyone else got a head start. Like joy, confidence, love, clarity all arrive late to their own timeline. You are not lazy. You are not broken. You are not behind in the way the world tells you. But inside, it feels like you woke up in the middle of a movie and everyone else knows the plot. You watch people your age settle into careers, build relationships, speak with certainty, laugh with ease, and a quiet thought follows you everywhere. I feel emotionally late to my own life. You are present, but not fully arrived. Alive, but still waiting to begin. You feel like you missed a chapter that taught everyone else how to live, how to take up space, how to choose, how to trust themselves. It is not envy. It is not bitterness. It is a deep sense of being out of sync with your own timeline. You look at your past and think, why did it take me so long to wake up? Here is a psychology behind that feeling. This is not immaturity. It is not weakness. It is a nervous system story. It is what happens when growth had to wait. You learn to pause yourself before you learn to be yourself. Some people grow up practicing curiosity. You grew up practicing caution. Psychology calls this adaptive delay. When a child senses that expressing needs, emotions, or identity creates tension, rejection, or instability, they do something brilliant. They slow down who they are, not consciously. Not dramatically, quietly, they become observant. They become careful. They become emotionally early in awareness and emotionally late in expression. While others explore, you scan. While others try, you calculate. While others act, you wait. This is not fear. It is intelligence shaped by environment. Your brain learned that timing matters more than truth. That safety comes before selfhood. So parts of you stayed on hold. Your anger, your desires, your playfulness, your voice. They did not disappear. They went dormant. You learned to keep things inside, to feel deeply but show little, to notice everything but reveal nothing. Years later, when life finally becomes stable, you look around and realize something painful. You feel like you just arrived. Everyone else seems already living. That gap is not immaturity. It is deferred development. Your nervous system built a pause button before it built a go button. So adulthood feels like entering late, not starting slow. It feels like you are catching up to a version of yourself that never had room to exist. You internalized observation before participation. Many people grow up learning through trial and error. You learned through watching. Social psychology calls this vicarious modeling. When direct exploration feels unsafe, the brain studies others instead. You became an expert on people, on moods, on consequences, on emotional weather. You learned how things work without touching them. You can read rooms, predict reactions, sense shifts, but there is a cost. You trained in theory more than experience. So when life asks you to step in, you feel unprepared, not because you lack intelligence, but because you were taught from the sidelines. You know what love looks like. You have not lived it freely. You understand confidence. You have not embodied it yet. You see others choosing. You still feel like you are learning permission. This creates a strange feeling. You feel emotionally young and mentally old at the same time. You carry insight without practice, awareness without movement. So you tell yourself you are late, but in reality, you are transitioning from observer to participant. That shift feels disorienting. Like learning to walk after years of watching others run. It is not that you arrived late. It is that you are finally stepping in. You were taught stability before identity. Some people are encouraged to discover who they are. Others are encouraged to maintain balance. Family systems theory explains this through role adaptation. Children often take on roles that keep the environment steady. The calm one, the helper, the quiet one, the responsible one. These roles earn safety, but they limit exploration. When your emotional energy is used to stabilize others, there is little left to experiment with self. You learn to ask, what is needed? Before, what do I want? Over time, your identity becomes functional rather than expressive. You become good at being useful, not practiced at being fulfilled. You become reliable, not revealed. So later in life, when the world asks you who you are, you hesitate, not because you have no self, but because your self developed in silence. Others spent years trying on identities. You spent years holding things together. So when you finally turn inward, it feels like you are late, but you are not behind. You are beginning the part others started earlier. You are not missing. You are just arriving to yourself. You confuse emotional readiness with chronological age. Society ties maturity to time, but psychology ties readiness to safety. Emotional growth does not follow calendars. It follows conditions. Some people grow up in environments that allow curiosity. You grew up in one that required awareness, so your inner world developed differently. You might be older in empathy, older in reflection, older in emotional depth, but younger in risk, younger in self-assertion, younger in joy. This mismatch creates shame. You think, I should be further by now. You compare timelines. You measure yourself against milestones. That is social comparison theory at work. Your brain uses others as reference points, but those points ignore context. They ignore emotional load. They ignore adaptation. They ignore invisible labor. They ignore what it took for you to survive. You did not start from the same place. You were building safety while others built identity. So your life feels delayed, but it is simply unfolding in a different order. You did not miss life. You survived it first. Your system is learning that it is finally safe to begin. Here is the truth that changes everything. The feeling of being emotionally late is not a failure. It is a signal. It means your nervous system is sensing space. It means parts of you that were paused are waking up. Desire, curiosity, agency, play. That restless feeling, that longing, that sense of, I want more now. That is not regret. That is emergence. You are not behind. You are entering a new developmental stage. One where you stop managing and start living. One where you shift from protection to expression. One where your inner world finally has room. This phase feels awkward, tender, uncertain, because it is new. You are learning what others practiced earlier. Boundaries, choice, voice, desire. It feels like catching up, but it is actually awakening. You are not late to life. You are early to yourself. And this time, you arrive with depth, with awareness, with emotional intelligence, with perspective. You do not start empty. You start informed. Your growth now is not rushed. It is intentional. You get to build from insight, not impulse. From presence, not pressure. So the goal is not to speed up. It is to begin gently, to try small risks, to name wants, to choose without apology, to let yourself be inexperienced, to let yourself be new, to let joy feel unfamiliar without turning away. You are not behind. You were preparing in ways no one saw. You were learning how to survive before learning how to live. And now, life is opening. Not because time passed, but because you are ready. If this felt like someone finally described you, you are not alone. There are many people quietly arriving to themselves later, and there is nothing wrong with that. This is not a delay. This is a second beginning. Subscribe if you want more psychology that feels like it sees you. And if you are ready to begin, even slowly, this is your moment.